Hello and Happy New Year. My name is Elle, and I've decided that I want to share my financial journey for at least this year. We'll see how it goes from here if I'm able to keep up with this. The reason being that I want sort of to have something that will help me keep focus on the goals that I've set for myself and be able to have that accountability for myself. And also, if this can help anyone out there to look at their own journey with finances, that is a very positive bonus. So, a little bit about how I got to where I am right now. 2024 was not the best year with regards to anything. It was frustrating. It was anxiety ridden. There's just no other way for me to describe it. Whether it was personal, health related, financially related, work related, everything just seemed to happen all at once. It was the total opposite of what I had hoped it could be. Back in 2023, my boyfriend and I made two pretty decently sized decisions. One was we were not going to renew our lease in our apartment complex. They wanted to raise the rent to be equal to all the other rent for their upgraded apartments. Meanwhile, the one we were at hadn't been touched in over 10 years, pretty much the amount of time that we were there. We weren't going to pay the upgraded premium if they were not going to come in and upgrade it. So we decided not to stay. We made the decision very late into our current lease. So we had no time to go shopping around, looking around, and we didn't want to spend all of the money that it would take to get movers or rent a van, put the down payment, or not down payment, the security deposit, the pet fee, all of that stuff. We didn't want to go through all of that. So the second decision that we made was we decided to live apart. The reason for this was he needed to stay in the area that we were at, as close to it as possible, because that's where his job is. The family that he was going to stay with did not have enough room for him, myself, and our cat. I took myself and my cat to one of my parents' house. We're not that far apart. We're maybe roughly 2 to 2.5 hours with traffic, an hour and a half on a very good traffic day. So it's not like we are so far apart from each other that we can't effectively see each other. And the goal for this was that within a year we would come back, sort of have a conversation on how much we were able to save, and then make another decision whether we wanted to go ahead and find a new apartment place to rent or if we wanted to start the process of maybe buying our first home. That didn't happen because at the beginning of January 2024, the parent that I am living with had a stroke. And it took them out of commission for the first 4 months of the year, like completely just in hospitals, in rehab, all of that stuff. And everything to do with the house, with the bills, any repairs, it fell on my shoulders. That was an interesting time, and I never want to have to do that again. There was no recovery last year. Everything I did have in savings which wasn't like a huge amount, but it was pretty significant, is gone. Everything is gone. We had the bills of the house. I took those on, trying to find where it was. A lot of them ended up being late because they didn't have them in auto payment and I didn't have access to their bank accounts clearly. So I had to find where everything was. The documents weren't in an easy place to locate. So there was a lot of late fees upon late fees, other fees. A lot of things happened. A lot of repairs had to be done in the house within 1 year. The AC, the water heater, the roof, complete replacement of the roof. So that ate into the savings and into my continuing paychecks for the year. The amount of medication that they came home with was significant. And while a lot of them were not too expensive, they did add up. And there were quite a few that were not covered that much. So those, of course, those are the ones that lasted throughout the rest of the year. But yes, so a lot of significant things happened. My savings was completely depleted. I am so thankful that I did have those savings because I cannot imagine not having had that and having to pay everything that I did directly from what I get paid. Would not have been able to. I can't even imagine how that would have gone. So now we are here. My boyfriend has been very understanding about this. It's going to take more than a year for us to come back into living together, but that's okay. We are hoping last year we were able to see each other a few times, but with everything that was going on my end, I just did not have the resources nor the capacity to stretch myself further to do a 2 hour drive. And he did also have a couple of things on his plate as well. So we're hoping that this year everything is a little bit calmer, everything runs a little bit smoother, and we'll have more opportunity to visit each other because phone calls and video calls only do so much. So I use the budgeting tool Ynab, stands for You Need a Budget. I have been using this for roughly it's been over 10 years. It's been over 12 years. This is much older than than however long I've been using it. But it did help me when I was a lot younger to be able to get myself out of a hole that I dug myself in really deep. And I've been kind of coasting since, not really, I've been saving here and there, but I haven't been I haven't been making financially sound decisions. I've just been coasting. There we go. Nice and simple. So, I definitely want to get my savings back on track, pay off some of the loans that I've accumulated throughout last year. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I will say that much. It definitely could have been a lot more. I want to pay off some things this year. I want to be on the road to paying off things early next year. And I want to try and get at least $3,000 into my savings this year that I will not touch, that will not be touched. Now, of course, there are always incidents where you need to dig in to something, but I'm hoping that that won't be necessary. So let's go ahead and take a look at the budget. Real quickly, I am using my tablet. One of the things that I could not deal with last year was my computer breaking down and then I just left it there. I left it there. I did not get it, take it to get fixed. I had no more brain cells left to be able to take care of that. So I have 2 checking accounts. One of them I only use it to send money from my main checking into that because that is where the card gets paid from. I have 2 credit cards. These are my daily drivers. I don't even remember the PIN to my debit. I haven't used my debit as a form of payment, swiping, or anything in several years. I've gotten very used to using my credit cards, and I only use them based on the income that I have on my checking account. So there's never a balance that goes over the due date. In fact, I try to pay them off by the end of the month so that in the new month, it'll be all just new charges. And then I have my high yield savings, which at the end of December, I had about 80 something dollars left. That's about as much as I had. So I didn't empty it all. I still had $80. I still had $80, which was something. It was something. I have my loans, which is my car. Um, Snow, this was a cat that we did have last year. We've had it forever, since they were born, and unfortunately, um, he ended up passing away, and we did incur some bills. My sister handled the bills right off the bat, and then we are all just paying her back. So I have $618 that I need to pay her, and I'm hoping to get that done, the bulk of that by February, and then just whatever's left over in March, which would hopefully not be more than $100. And then the roof I thought was going to be a loan. It ended up being a credit card with 18 months deferred interest. Is it deferred or interest free? I don't remember what deferred means. Anyway, so it's 18 months free, and then of course you start getting interest. Well, the payment that they want, which is $106, would take me far beyond the 18 months. I don't want that. I don't want to pay interest on this. I would rather get it done. So this is one of the loans that I want to have completed before the end of the year. This and Snow. The Volvo is the one that I want to at least pay off as much as I can this year. So next year, it'll be done by March, maybe April, and I won't ever have to worry about that again. Then I have some tracking accounts, mainly is a second savings account that I don't really use. It came with the checking account where I pay the car from. And there's also my health savings account and my 401k are in there. And they're just tracking. Ynab doesn't really have an investment tracker built in, so I just have scheduled transactions to come in for what is currently being taken from my paycheck for both of those, the HSA and the 401k. So let's take a look at these. I have transactions in my checking, my Sapphire, and my high yield that I need to take a look at and approve. So right here for my checking account, I have a monthly interest. And then T-Mobile and the Sapphire payment from last month that I'm going to approve. And then this should be a transfer to the high yield. And that way there's no category needed. And then this Zelle is from my sister. I already went shopping on the 1st, went to Walmart because we needed things. We needed things. We were out of a lot of stuff. So we went there and she sent me her portion of it. So for Sapphire, DoorDash, that's not food delivery. That's actually the monthly fee. Now I thought I had canceled that in time to not be charged this month, and I guess I didn't, but I should not be charged moving February forward. And then, oh yes, there are my groceries. I'm going to enter that so that we can see it in the budget. Okay. And then high yield savings. The high yield savings, I only got 26 cents. But again, I only had $80 in December. So I go ahead and put this on ready to assign. These should say interest earned, not monthly interest. I don't know why I took this new one here. And then the transfer from the checking, approve that. I thought I paid, oh yes, so I did pay a couple of things. So these right here. So Ynab, that would go on annual subscriptions. Okay. And then these two utilities, this one is the water bill. And this is actually the HOA, which I have a specific, there we go. And the HOA is once a year, which is fantastic at that price. I think it is. I don't know. I've never owned a home. This is parents' house. All right. So that should be good. So let's go to the budget. Now there are 5 overspent categories right now because these are some that I've made payments on already and I just haven't assigned anything in the budget yet. So we'll look at those. I currently have 1,600 available to budget. Last month was the best month out of the whole year where I didn't uh, overspend to the point of having to come into next month's paycheck and take some of that money to pay off things for last month. So I actually ended up with $300 that I didn't use. And I added that to the auto fund, which is why you see that available amount of $300 there, which is fantastic. I have some car repairs that I need to do, and I also have maintenance coming up for the car. So, tire rotation, oil, all of that stuff. So that's fantastic. So let's take care of some of these overspends here. The monthly fees, I'm going to go ahead and fund them in full. I used to have all the subscriptions listed individually. It just adds too many categories. And at this point, I feel comfortable with being able to put the money up front for the month. And then it just takes from there as they come in. Oh, the groceries are in the incorrect category here, so I'll fix that in a second. But I do have 2 grocery categories. Last year, around the last 4 months of the year, I had 4 categories. I split it up into 4. No, I split it up into 5 categories, one per every 7 days of the month, and then the last one for the remaining days. So the 29th, 30th, and 31st of every month. And that was because the grocery category severely was overspent the majority of the year, and I needed to get a grip on it right, like immediately. Towards last month, I kind of was able to sort of see where a lot of the spending was happening, and the main spending is always in the first week of the month and the third week of the month, and then not as much in the second week and the last week or so of the month. So for this year, I've set it up into 2 categories, one for the first half and then the second one for the second half. And I'm giving myself 500 in total. There are 5 people in this house, and we go through everything very quickly. I'm cooking more and more from last year than I've ever done before because of my parents' health issue, my health issues that also cropped up towards the latter half of the year. So, less eating out and more cooking, eating in. So, anyway, so yes, so this should actually be in the 1 through 14th category. Okay, so let's go back to the budget here and let's go ahead. So I budget myself 250 per half of the month, and then my sister provided me 125 for her portion. So technically I do have $90 left for next week if I need anything like milk, eggs, the stuff that you always run out of first. Okay. Um, Annual subscriptions. I don't have goal for it because I don't want to treat it as a sinking fund. I have not had much luck with sinking funds. I see the money there and it's very easy for me to take it if I see it. So that's something I do have to work on. I have to work on it. So I'm just gonna fund it. HOA, let's go ahead and fund that. And utilities. The goals for these two are not correct. So my goal for the HOA, or my target, I should say, should be closer to 130. But that's okay. I'll leave it as is. It's once a year. But for the utilities, I have it set for $70. Water ranges between 60 to 65. So 70 is there as a sort of base. It's every 3 months. So I'm going to leave it as is. I'm only going to fund it to what I need, but I am going to leave the goal as is in case I fund it ahead of time. All right. And then peace of mind. I did transfer to my high yield savings those $50. That is an automatic transfer, happens on the first of every month. And then the 26 cents for the interest. So 50, 26. Ooh, nope, nope, not $5,000. I don't have that right now. 50, 26. There we go. So 130. The goal with the savings is I want to put something at the beginning of the month, but I want it to be reasonable within all of the bills and things that come with that first week of the month. So $50 was what I set aside for every month for the beginning. By the end of the month, if I have anything left over, which I should, all of that is left over for the month is then going to be transferred into the high yield savings. So 50 is not the end goal per month. It should definitely be more. Every month, I will not have a rollover. I will just start with the new paycheck on the first. All right, and I think those were all the overfunded. So let's go ahead and fund some of these categories that I currently need. Shui is going to come out at some point. So oh, I'm wondering why it's not giving me, because I still have this set aside here. Let's see. Okay. So Chewy is 60. That definitely covers treats and food. I stagger when I get the food. So 1 month I'll get the wet food and then a couple of treats. And then the next month I'll get the dry food because my cat does eat both. I've tried to do one or the other, and for some reason it just doesn't work for him. But at least staggered, I get the big ticket item, which is the food, and then I can get his supplements, like his hip joint supplements, and any additional treats that I want to get him. So that's that. Gas, definitely. I want to go ahead and assign. I had $3.48 left over from last month, so I'm just going to fund it up to the 60 that I've been using. I work from home. I'm a remote worker, so I do use my card to go, grocery shopping or doctor's appointments or wherever. But so far, $60 has been reasonable for the last few months. I already did groceries. Wellness, I am taking supplements, iron, calcium, B12, a couple of other things, as well as I might help my parent with some of their supplements and things like that that they need. So, annual subscriptions, it is done right now. I am going to be adding a third one because it does save a significant amount of money, but I don't know if I'm going to do that this month or next month. So, auto fund, I do plan on adding more, just not right now. Beauty and clothing. I don't buy myself clothing. I use my clothing until it's like threadbare before I have to buy anything, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take care of myself a little better. It did start last year. I've started going to the doctors more often, the dentist, regular doctor. I have to do my vision this year. And then personally, uh, you know, physically, I've started going on walks to really get myself moving, get my blood pumping a little bit, for health reasons, as well as I've been doing my hair more for the past few months, and I want to continue that. And yeah, I want to take care of myself. I feel like for the better part of last year and previous years, I haven't been doing that. And I think I need to be in a better state, physically, health wise, mentally, in order for this to work for me, for this financial journey that I find myself in to work. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be adding $80. I'm pretty sure most of this is going to go to the haircut, the hairstyling, or whatever I want to do. Maybe I'll save something for a piece of clothing here or there to like change out some of the stuff that I wear. But just a little bit here and there. Uh, I'm gonna start adding to travel fund. This is gonna be for the times that I go visit my boyfriend or if he comes visit me. This is mainly for any hotel fees aside from the hotel cost, like parking fees or anything like that, as well as if we want to go out to eat, it'll be specific to that travel. So it won't go on my food delivery category, which is up here. So it won't go there. Hotels, I use my points. I generate enough points to be able to do a couple of weekends a year with no problem. I barely used them. Yeah, last year, I barely used them for it. I could have gone a couple more times, or you could have come here a couple more times under the points, but things were just too hectic. They were too hectic, so we didn't do that. So yes. What else? Oh, so the roof, I'm gonna be putting 200 this month. The regular is 106. Again, I don't want to go past the 18 months, no interest. So I'm gonna be putting more and more money. So 200 this month. I think I'm gonna put a little bit more next month, and then in March is when I go, beyond that and put as much as possible. I want to get rid of it no later than September, or at least the end of this year. That way it'll be done, it'll be within the 18 months, and I won't have to worry about it. The car is 180 a month. I am going to put 200, and I am going to be putting 200 for the better part of the entire year because I will be adding more into the roof. The car already has interest. It had interest from the beginning, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. once the roof is paid off and once snow is paid off, my sister for snow, then I will be putting a good chunk of that into the car and then some into savings. So that's what's going to happen with that. And then the last of it here is $75.80. Where am I going to put that? Let's see. I don't have anything else that is due immediately. I do not want to fund the food delivery category at the beginning of the month because if I see the money there, I'm going to want it to go ahead and buy stuff. So to stop myself from that, I'm not going to assign the money there. I'm going to assign it towards the second half of the month. That way, if I want to get a treat or something, I can do it. I have the full funding and I won't have to scrounge up anywhere if I overspend. So I'm trying to do things that will offset the way I know I am. So, which is so funny because 75, I think, is what I was going to give myself, but I'm not going to. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it in auto fund. I do plan on putting another 300 in here. So at least it's a start. I think by next month I should be able to have enough to do the repair. And then in a couple of months after that, I should have enough to do the maintenance. And then once all of that is done, then I'm going to bring down how much I'm adding into the auto fund to, I believe I put myself to like about $100 a month just to have a little bit of a nest egg for that specific category, that specific situation. But we will get to that when we get to it. So I think that is it. Apologies for the very long video at the beginning of this journey. If you stayed here until the end, thank you very much. I will do my utmost to load twice a month at least for each paycheck. And hopefully I can keep this up for the entire year. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope you have a wonderful day.